Welcome to the WDW Reflections Podcast. Here, we'd love to talk about the Walt Disney World Resort, the way we remember it, how it's changed, and why we still enjoy visiting the most magical place on Earth. So come with us on a podcast journey as we reflect on the WDW Reflections Podcast. Hey y'all, welcome to the WDW Reflections Podcast. And I am Dewey, one of your hosts. We thank y'all for being here with us. With me today are my podcast travel buddies, Ron and Tony.
Phil Simms, you just won the Super Bowl. What are you doing next?
I'm going to go to Disney World.
All right. So this week, as the NFL enters into the second week of this year's playoffs, we thought it would be fun to take a look at the history of the What's Next advertisement campaign. As January 25th marks the 35th anniversary, think about that for a second, fellas, 35th anniversary of the I'm Going to Disney World Super Bowl campaign. So my buddy Ron is going to lead the discussion as we reflect on this annual Disney ritual. So Ron, take it away, buddy.
Absolutely. So first, I found this a lot more interesting than what I originally thought that I would run into. But the infamous I'm Going to Disney World is officially called, as Dewey referred to it, the What's Next campaign. It started in 1987, first aired January 25th of 1987. They recorded at the end of the Super Bowl, and traditionally, the MVP is the person that's asked to do this now. The first one was actually asked for each quarterback to do it, and they were approached prior to the game and promised $75,000 each.
What?
Whether they did it or didn't do it, because they wanted them to be prepared, whoever won. So Phil Simms, actually of the New York Giants, was the one that got to do it. But John Elway also was paid $75,000 in the event Denver Broncos pulled out the win.
Can I ask you really quickly?
Yeah.
Who was paying them? Was it the team or Disney?
Disney.
Ah, okay.
It's Disney ad. So, and what I also found interesting is that year they did it 3 other times following three other major sports championships, and I didn't find which ones those were, but it was interesting that they did it 3 additional times and paid that same amount to the individual that did it. And like I was saying, most times the MVP is the one offered the opportunity, but due to unfortunate circumstances, not all is unfortunate, but the one example I have for unfortunate situations was Ray Lewis was named MVP of the Super Bowl 35, but he was involved in a murder trial, and the opportunity was therefore given to Trent Dilfer, the quarterback. Another time, Tom Brady was the MVP, and he opted to give the opportunity to one of his teammates, which I thought was kind of cool.
Well, let's be honest. Tom Brady's had the opportunity to do it like 37 times. So,
well, yeah, I don't know. It's the MVP, so it's not just the quarterback all the time. So,
right.
Which I'm sure, yeah, you're right.
It's typically Tom Brady when he wins the Super Bowl.
Right. And the interesting part of this is how it came about. It came about when Michael Eisner was out to eat.
I knew it was going to be a Michael Eisner.
So did I, yeah.
I knew it.
I mean, well, it's 1987, so you knew, but even if you didn't know the date, this kind of stuff is definitely signature Michael Eisner, right? Yes. And he was out to eat with his wife, Jane, and Dick Rutan and Gina Yeager, who in 1986 had piloted the first aircraft to fly around the world without stopping or refueling. And they were out to dinner. And so obviously that was a major echelon in their careers. And so Michael Eisner was like, well, now that you've done basically the echelon of your career, what's next? and Dick Rutan quipped, "I'm going to Disney World," and they had a good laugh. But then later in the evening, when they got home, Jane, his wife, said, that would really be a great advertising campaign. And the rest is history. And so I thought that was a really, really cool story about it. What's also interesting to me is that the cost or what you get paid now versus what you got paid for the original. What do you think happened to the cost for payment to the ones that get asked to do this? What do you think they're being paid today?
I'm going to say 250,000. Just a guess.
Sure. Any guesses, Tony?
I would get somewhere around the same.
Yeah, I would have too. Surprisingly, they only pay and I can't get what date this started, but they pay 30,000 now.
Wow.
So it's gone down?
It's gone down significantly. And I don't know if that's how marketing works. After a certain period of time, they don't feel like the ROI, the return on investment, is great, so they don't feel that they can pay the higher dollar. I don't know why that is, but it definitely went down, and that's what they do. So well,
look, I'm going to be honest. I'm a high school teacher, so even that $30,000 is like double my annual salary anyway. So it's still a lot of money to me.
No, absolutely. I mean, shoot, you tell me if you'll get on TV and say, "Hey, I'm going to Disney World," and you just give me a ticket.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'll say it. I'll say it. Hire me.
Exactly.
So, I mean, hey, maybe that's the ideal, guys. We approach Disney and say, "Hey, our podcast has so many viewers and so many listeners that we'll do the What's Next campaign for you if you'll just give us a week at Disney in a deluxe hotel, in a deluxe resort."
You reach out to them, Duran. Let us know how it goes.
I'll let you know. And then this is, and to me, this is such a great story. And maybe, Dewey, this will give you some hope for the Disney game that they're playing right now of trying to, it seems like they can try to add a plus to everything, right? Well, the 2020 plus or 2020 overhaul to this campaign is pretty cool. Disney Parks Experiences and Products was the official sponsor of the game's MVP ceremony. Patrick Mahomes' announcement of the phrase was embedded into the broadcast post-game show, which included appearances by Mickey and Minnie Mouse alongside 10-year-old Make-A-Wish child Nathaniel from Austin, Texas. During the Disney World parade honoring Mahomes, Nathaniel also took part, representing the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Nathaniel also posed with Mahomes, Disney Parks Experiences and Products Chairman Bob Chapek, Mickey and Minnie, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, and Make-A-Wish American President CEO Richard Davis, when Chapek announced a $1 million donation to Make-A-Wish Foundation in Mahomes' honor. So, to me, that was just pretty incredible. I know Disney's always supported Make-A-Wish, and it's really cool that they do that. And then the young man was also included in the parade that next day. So I thought, to me, that was pretty cool.
That's incredibly cool. I've been involved in some Make-A-Wish stuff, had a chance to participate in a couple of things, and it's an unbelievably amazing organization and the stuff they do for sick kids and stuff. So holy smokes, man, if you're if you're Nathaniel, you're that little boy, and you're a KC fan or you're just a Patrick Mahomes fan. Holy smokes! What an incredible opportunity for that. That is really, really cool.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And then the other thing, and it didn't finish this out. 17 other children from Make-A-Wish Foundation also got free passes to attend the parade that year as well. So $1 million donation plus 17 kids. I don't know how they chose the 17 kids. I can't imagine. There's maybe the 17 that was already in line to do a Disney. I know Disney basically bends over backwards for that organization. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. One of my friends here in Delaware that is in the 501st Legion, the garrison with me, the garrison that I'm in here, and the First State. Yeah. First State Garrison is what we're called. She actually is a volunteer for Make-A-Wish here in Delaware. So she's the lady that anybody here in Delaware that is a child that is applied to Make-A-Wish, she's the one that goes to their house and says, "You've been chosen," and tells them, kind of reveals to them what their surprise is or whatever. So I know that she does. She's done many of those that go to Disney World. So yeah,
we had a niece that unfortunately suffered and had the opportunity to experience Make-A-Wish. She didn't choose Disney, but the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which is actually franchised out to the different cities. It's not the one corporation, but they honored her wish. She wanted to go to Chicago, and they really made it a big deal. I'll talk to you guys a little bit about something offline, just because we're off subject, but pretty incredible organization. One other thing that I thought was not two other things. One is that they record both "I'm going to Disney World" and "I'm going to Disneyland," so that they can use the commercial regionally. I thought that's very interesting. And they always offer a parade in at least one of the parks, so that it's true 50% of the time.
Were you able to tell what they do when they go to these parks? Do you know what their itinerary is like? Do they just go for the parade and then go back home?
My guess, I didn't get to see that, but my guess is that if they want a VIP tour of the parks to ride and stuff, that they would get a VIP tour, or they could just go and partake in the parade and go home. I'm sure it's their option.
But I know they have to do this because of the immediacy of keeping things current. But can you imagine, after months of training and playing and trying to get your score, and you finally go through the trouble of winning this, you've got to then be packed on a plane and go to Disney World. Right. I don't know if that's the next thing I'd want to do. As much as I love Disney World, I think I'd be so tired. I just want to, can I go back?
Well, yeah, I'm sure every personality has a different way they like to endure, but I'm sure it also is this. And that once you get into that celebrity, you kind of get
you're used to that,
being in that whirlwind of okay, this is next.
You're still on that high of being able to be shuffled around that way. Do you know if there's ever been a case where someone's not been, where they had to say it but weren't too thrilled about the idea of, I've got to go to Disney World?
See, I didn't get any. I do have one very interesting story, not to that point, but Nancy Kerrigan was asked after the '94 Olympics to do it, and she was recorded, quote, "This is dumb. I hate it. This is the most corniest thing I have ever done."
And then,
however,
then
Kerrigan
came by and went,
said in her comments later, that her comments were taken out of context, that she was referring to wearing her medal because she was taught not to boast of success and wins.
That makes sense.
So it was Nancy Kerrigan again in the limelight of corruption, but
scandal, right? It's scandalous.
So again, I found that so there's some interesting stuff, and Tony, to your point, you can always find some fun little tidbits like that.
Well, I think they're probably willing to do it because they're getting paid for it,
Yeah,
and then that, and these guys have a ton of money anyway, so I guess it's not really that big a deal to them either. But they're probably not paying for the airfare. They're not paying to get into the park.
Yeah, they're not paying anything.
Yeah,
they're being wined and dined and given the best. And like I said, I'm sure that they have the option, which for anybody to do the VIP service, I think I mentioned this on another podcast. It's like $3,000 an hour.
Yeah,
I mean, it's crazy, and you have to commit to like 7 hours or something. I forget. It was crazy money.
I remember a few years ago watching, now that everything is broadcast live, you can see it on YouTube and Facebook and all that stuff. I remember seeing it was almost like paparazzi following the royal wedding or something. They were in Disney and people were trying to get a shot of I'm pretty sure it was Gronkowski. And he was in the Magic Kingdom, and there's a little area that is fenced off behind the Plaza restaurant that's between the Plaza and Tomorrowland Terrace. And he was back there on some sort of riser or something. So you could see him over the fence, and you could see all the bright lights and stuff. So he's standing with his back to the crowd or whatever. And, the crowd can't get to him, but he's standing there with his back to the crowd. And so the castle's behind him, and you could see that they were recording something or whatever. So, and I mean, that's, that happens the day after the Super Bowl.
Yes.
I mean, it's almost like they take a shower and get on a plane and they're there for the next day. So, but I thought that was really interesting when that was happening live on Facebook and stuff. They're like, look, Ron Gronkowski's here doing the Super Bowl ad or whatever. And people were taking pictures and stuff. It was a big deal.
You guys want to know, I was actually witness to something like this, and it turned out to be a bigger Disney connection than I didn't realize this at the time. But I was in California in October of 2002 during the World Series, and apparently that year the California Angels, or the Anaheim Angels, won the World Series. And so I was staying. It was my first time, I think, at Disneyland. That I booked a couple of days to stay. So I made sure I wanted to stay at the Disneyland Hotel. I stayed at the Disneyland Hotel, and I could oversee the park. You could see some of the park in the distance, and you can see some of the pathway of how people get to the monorails. And I remember waking up that morning, and I kept seeing this flow of people dressed in red, I should say. And I was getting concerned because I said, boy, that's a pretty big group. And then more and more people started flooding into the park. And this was early in the morning at about 7 or 8. And I'm thinking, oh, great, we're not going to be able to go to the park today because apparently the Angels won the World Series, and all of the Angels are going in there. They're going to do the parade, and they're going to have massive crowds there today. But I will say that by the time we made it into the park at 10 a.m., everything was done. I mean, they apparently had done the parade, they had done the fan gathering, and there was not any of that in sight by the time I went into the park later that morning. But I had no idea up until just a couple of seconds ago when I looked it up. The Walt Disney Company owned that team up until that year, and once they won the World Series, they kind of sold it to somebody else the following year. But I was there for that, so that was kind of cool. So it's nice to know that they're able to handle this in an orderly fashion. I'm sure that in Walt Disney World, they do the same, manage the crowds, get the athlete through, and get on with the day. Because I'm
pretty impressed. When we've been there you would think we've been there for the recording of the parade. Sorry if I'm ruining that for anybody for the Christmas Day parade. It's not live. But they handle the crowds really, really well. You don't feel the impact, at least we've not felt the impact, and there's several stars there for that. And they seem to handle the crowds really well. So that's the story behind I'm going to Disney World in the Super Bowl. So they've done it for several different athletes. We've had some fun. It was a fun research project for me, and I hope you've enjoyed hearing about the What's Next campaign.
That's pretty cool. First of all, I didn't realize that they'd done it for other sports, and then especially when you brought in the Nancy Kerrigan story, that part, I had no idea that they did it for Olympics and stuff like that. You know, I watched 99% of the time I watch the Super Bowl, just because it's a spectacle and everything, even if, my team hasn't been in it since the 90s. So I'm certainly not watching it because, to see my team win.
I'll be honest, I watch it for the commercials.
And even that's been a disappointment.
It has been a little bit. It's now you get to see one commercial that you really take away. So,
but that I'm always super jealous of the winning player, the MVP or whoever it is that they select to do it. I'm always super jealous because they get to go to Disney World for free. Lucky dogs. Like they're not lucky enough already. They're multi-million-dollar superstar athletes, and then they also get to go to Disney World for free.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
how it goes.
Cool. Yeah, that's how it goes. All right, that was awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us, Ron. That's good stuff.